Hey guys, in this video I am going to be showing you all of the books that I read this month, and I'll be telling you what I think about them, kind of what they're about and stuff like that. I've never done a reading wrap-up before, so this is a first for me, so we'll see how this goes. But I read 6 books this month, and that's actually the most books I've ever read in a month because I'm not a very avid reader. I love reading, but I don't read a lot, so this was definitely a lot for me. The first book that I read this month was called I Will Plant You a Lilac Tree by Laura Hillman. So this is the cover, and it is a memoir on a World War II survivor. She gets sent to multiple concentration camps. She's kind of trying to follow her family. She doesn't want to be apart from her family, so she's sending herself basically to these camps. Not really, but she is more willing to go so she can kind of try to find her family. And then she also ends up actually meeting her husband in one of these camps. They're not married, like they didn't know each other, they met through this. Yeah, so I'll read you the back just so you guys can get a better understanding of what this book's about, since I'm not very good at explaining things. So, in the spring of 1942, Hannah Laura Wolf was living with her girlfriends at school in Berlin when she received shocking news. Her mother and brothers were about to be deported by the Gestapo. In a life-changing moment, Hannah Laura decides to leave school and join her family. Over the next few years, Hannah Laura endures the horrors of 8 labor and concentration camps. Despite being surrounded by almost unbearable suffering, Hannah Laura fell in love with a young Polish POW named Dick Hillman. Together, the young couple found hope when they were placed on Schindler's List. But the promise of safety was not sealed. Just a few weeks later, Hannah Laura found herself alone at the gates of Auschwitz. When I rate memoirs, I'm very iffy about rating them. I basically rate them on their writing because I don't want to rate them solely on how their life is, right? Like, I don't want to rate a book 5 stars because, oh my gosh, you had such a hard life, so great. Like, that's kind of weird. Or 5 stars, you had such an amazing life, amazing. Or 2 stars because you had a boring life, something like that. I rate it more on how I found the writing was, how I found my reading experience was more so. I did rate this book 5 stars, thought it was very well written. The chapters weren't too long. Saying like it keeps you captivated is a very odd thing I feel like to say about this, because the story is so heartbreaking. And it's true, it's not fiction, so you don't want to say stuff that seems insensitive. The story is very captivating. There is so much to it. I think it is very good. I definitely recommend you read it. Next, if you would have, I think, watched my book haul, I think it was my book haul that I told you guys about this book. I was reading it at the time of making that video. This book I found in a shutout back. It was from the previous owners, and so I decided I would read it. Actually, I found it quite a while ago, but I was kind of in a little bit of a romance mood, so I decided to read it. It's Intrigue, Mysterious Stranger by Patricia Rosemore. So this is the book. I actually thought it was really good. I'm pretty sure I rated it 4 stars. The main character, a woman and her horse, kind of go through something very traumatic. And so their relationship is really struggling. The horse is very frightened all the time, doesn't trust anybody. So she's trying to build up their relationship again because this horse is kind of basically it provides them money because she invested money into this horse to help make money for their ranch that they don't have a lot of money for. So when this horse can no longer interact with people, it's a very worrying thing because she needs this horse to make money, basically. He's like a racing horse. So her grandma calls in a horse trainer from Ireland, I believe. Pretty sure, yes, he's Irish. They don't really get along, or at least she doesn't get along with him to start, but they start to kind of work together to help this horse. And then also there's the thrill aspect because someone tried to kill her horse, basically, and all of this stuff going on, like why did someone try to kill her horse and a bunch of extra stuff. So basically that is it. It's a romance mystery thriller, I would say. It's good. I like it. I could read the back, but I feel like you guys don't want me to read the synopsis for every single book. But yeah, so that is this book. I hope I didn't do too bad of a job explaining it, but yeah, I actually really liked it, honestly. So if this is something you're kind of into, like, whatever, I recommend reading it, because why not? It's like, it's probably pretty cheap. I don't know. Next was Where I Belong by Mary Downing Hahn. I think that's how you pronounce her name. But I actually thought this was a really good book. I think I rated it 4 stars. It's basically about a young boy who is in foster care. He lives by himself with his foster parent, but he's in foster care and he doesn't really have any friends or anything like that. He gets bullied and like beaten up by people in his town, and so he finally kind of makes one friend who's a girl. I think I can't quite remember if they're in school together. I can't quite remember if they're in the same class or anything, but they basically go out into the woods, and before he had actually like become friends with her, he went into the woods and found this really great big tree and built a tree house in it. And so then he brings his friend there and they just like come to this tree to kind of get away from things. But then there's also like this tree man or like forest man, I can't remember what he calls him. Oh, the green man, that he believes is a thing that he's trying to discover and find more about. Like, I don't know how much else to describe the book. I really enjoyed it. Like, I don't know how to describe it or kind of what the final meanings are to like learn, like what you're learning in this book. I don't know, but I really enjoyed it. He thinks his foster mom hates him, and so you kind of also go through that. You go through him getting bullied, beaten up, teased, him making a friend that, you know, he thinks is not very much like him, but you discover more about her as well. And then also him kind of believing in make-believe. Stuff he's kind of just coming up with on his own that he's believing is true about the woods and stuff like that. You know, maybe not everything is as it seems. I think I did an okay job of explaining that. I think this is a really good book. Like, I really enjoyed it. It's like, say you read a lot of one genre, this might be a good break because it's a quick and easy read. It's not complicated or anything like that. Try it. Give it a shot. Next is a book that I loathe. I wish I didn't read this book. I wish I didn't have it in my possession. This is Where Angels Fear to Tread by E.M. Forrester. I hate this book. So basically it's about, okay, how can I even explain this? So there's a rich family and they have a daughter-in-law, or like a woman married into the family, who is outgoing, kind of flighty, you know, just loves to do stuff on a whim, isn't really like them, not sophisticated and whatever. She married into the family, obviously, but her husband passed away, and so it's just her and her daughter. And so she decides she's going to go to Italy, and when she gets there, she meets an Italian man who is a decent amount younger than her and marries him. So the story on the back, it basically says it's about the family trying to end this marriage or end the engagement. They get there and they think she's still engaged, but she actually already got married. Like, on the back of the book, it says that they are trying to, like, end it, I think. Like, that's what I thought, is that they're trying to end it. But you know what happens in the book? They get there, they realize she got married, she's not engaged anymore, she's married, and then they give up. They're like, oh, she's already married. Okay, never mind. Okay, well, that whole part on the back of the book is just completely gone then in, like, a paragraph after they realize she's married already, so they just give up. And then it's basically like a bunch of more drama happens that isn't mentioned on the back, so I don't want to spoil it if you guys actually are going to read this book. There doesn't seem to be really any like final conclusion. Like, this book felt like there was no point. I struggled through every single page. The amount of times they said vulgar when it literally didn't even mean something vulgar. Like, she wouldn't be acting properly. Like, she'd be doing something that's like not completely normal, whatever, in their eyes, and they'd be like, oh, she's so vulgar. They probably said it about 50 gazillion times in this book. Vulgar is this book's word. Like, there didn't seem to be any point to this book, because this book makes you think on the back that you are going to be following along this woman who goes to Italy falls in love, marries this Italian man, and then it's about, or like gets with this Italian man, and it's about her family trying to break it up. But it's like, that's a teeny tiny bit of the book. It completely follows the family. You're not following the woman, you're following the family more so. Like, I don't care about the family, I care about the woman. I want to know the woman's story. Whatever. They go to Italy, they try to see what they can do about her relationship, realize she's married, gives up, is gonna go home. They go home for a while, find out about a bunch more stuff, come back to Italy, try to deal with all that, and they ruin a bunch of things. It sucks. And then in the end, everything is just ruined and there's no conclusion. After I was done, I was reading reviews on Goodreads, and so many people really enjoyed this book. I gave this book 2 stars. I wouldn't recommend this book to anyone. Next is The Host by Stephanie Meyer. This book is basically about aliens who invaded the planet. They kind of invade every planet, and they're like these little centipede, like silver centipede things that get implanted in the host's body. So then they have complete control over the body's mind, movements, all of that. But in this book, the main character is one of the aliens and is implanted into basically also the main girl's body, but the main girl's mind doesn't completely go away like it's supposed to. Wanda is the alien, and Melanie is the person. She's the girl. So Melanie is captured. They put Wanda in her neck, and Wanda takes over Melanie's body. But Melanie's mind is supposed to completely go away, and Wanda has complete control and all of that. But Melanie's mind does not completely go away, and she actually can speak to Wanda through her mind. When she has very strong emotions, she's able to kind of control herself a bit. Other than that, she's kind of just stuck in her own head and has no control over herself because Wanda is controlling her. So it's basically the story of both of them trying to figure out how to live, like where to go, finding the people that Melanie cares about, but also Wanda's conflicted with because she's supposed to go and follow the alien's path where she does just a job and she works and lives and is trying to improve the planet. So that's basically all that I can explain it to you, because other than that, I'm worried I'm going to spoil something. Melanie had a boyfriend and a brother before she was captured, and so Melanie is giving all of these memories to Wanda, showing Wanda these memories. So Wanda is beginning to really care for these people, and so she wants to not so much help, she just hates the idea of them being in danger. This book is mainly focused on Wanda. It doesn't have a whole lot of Melanie in it. Melanie is one of the main characters, but it is more so focused on Wanda. But there's basically 2 main characters in the same body, and it's very interesting in that way. The romance in this book is kind of weird because Wanda's beginning to feel things for Jared, which is Melanie's boyfriend, but Melanie can't. It's a very weird romance. It's kind of a bit of a love triangle, but in reality there's 4. There's basically Wanda and Melanie, but then there's also Jared and another love interest, someone who, loves Wanda. Not Melanie, but Wanda, but Jared loves Melanie, obviously. But Wanda's a good person, so it's a very conflicting romance. I wouldn't read it for the romance. I'd read it for the weird alien plot, because it's very odd. The romance definitely frustrated me a lot. It really did. But I actually liked it. I think I rated it 3 stars, which is, I think, a little bit less than the majority. Lots of people hated it. Lots of people loved it. I'm kind of in between. So I rated this book 3 stars. Lastly is Girls Like Us by Christina Alger. I finished this book today, actually. This is a murder mystery thriller. So the main character, it was just a woman. She comes home because her father died in a motorcycle accident. So she comes home to kind of, deal with all of that. and she ends up getting tied up in a local kind of murder thing because she is from the FBI. I'm sorry, she's like, I forgot to mention that she's in the FBI, so when she comes home, she kind of gets pulled into this case, even though she wasn't hired to go there. She just gets pulled into it. So it's basically her trying to solve this murder of this young girl in their town. There was a murder a year earlier that happened the exact same way, so they're thinking it's kind of like a serial killer almost, but it's not. It's obviously not a bunch of murders, it's only 2, but they happen the exact same way almost a year apart. And so it's basically her trying to figure out why all of this why this happened, and her father's death is a little suspicious, but also, you know, she kind of starts to think that maybe her father killed these girls because she finds evidence in her house, and kind of just overall it kind of leads towards him. So she's trying to figure out what happens here. I could read the inside for you. Maybe that would actually be a bit better to describe this book, since I'm doing a really crappy job of it. I also want to say that there is no romance in this book. There's like the slight inclination of romance, but it doesn't go anywhere. FBI agent Nell Flynn hasn't been home in 10 years. Nell and her father, homicide detective Martin Flynn, have never had much of a relationship, and Suffolk County will always be awash in memories of her mother, Marisol, who was brutally murdered when Nell was just 7. When Martin dies in a motorcycle accident, Nell returns to the house where she grew up so that she can spread her father's ashes and close his estate. At the behest of her father's partner, Detective Lee Davis, Nell becomes involved in an investigation into the murders of 2 young women in Suffolk County. The further Nell digs, the more likely it seems that her father should be the prime suspect, and that his friends on the police force are covering his tracks. Plagued by doubts about her brother's murder and her own role in exonerating her father in that case, Nell can't help but ask questions about who killed the 2 women and why. But she may not like the answers she finds, not just about those she loves, but about herself. I just finished it today, and so I don't want to rate it yet because I usually like to wait a few days and then rate it. I think this book is a 4-star for me, because 4 stars for me is I enjoyed the book, I thought it was good, right? So 5 stars is I loved it. But I didn't love this book. I liked it. It was a good read. It was an easy read. The chapters are like a decent length to start, and then towards the end, like the last third of the book maybe, chapters are very short, so then it makes it even more quick to get through. It's like everything is happening and short chapters are going on, so it kind of helps get through it a lot. But it's a good book. I feel like there could have been a bit more of some subplots. It was all solving different cases tying together or something like that. I wish there would have been a little bit more of a few different subplots, right? To just so it gives you something else in the book as well. I don't mean like it should be a romance subplot. I think just something else to add to the book. I don't know. So that was all 6 books that I read this month. I know that none of them are like book talk popular or anything like that. None of them are crazy well known, I'd say, except like The Host or something. But that's it basically. I don't have any much more else to say. So I'm gonna wrap this video up then, since I don't really have much else to say. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like it if you enjoyed it. Comment down below what you would like to see next, preferably maybe book videos, because I do want to make more book related videos. If you guys like my videos, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.